Welcome to episode 13 of Chats. Today we're talking about anything and everything. I'm Corbin.
I'm Sarah.
And I am excited. This is going to be a kind of a random type episode, like a mystery bag type episode.
A potpourri,
exactly.
as it were.
Well, and you said kind of a recap of things that have happened in the last week. There's nothing really massive going on that's like that could be a 40
breaking news or
that
standalone.
we could really dissect.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
I do want to apologize to people last week because I forgot to turn off my little dinger, and it may have come through on my phone. My notifications were coming through, and it was funny because the way we're set up, Corbin can hear things that I can't hear.
Yeah.
So he was making all kinds of very demonstrative faces at me. And I
polite demonstrative faces.
But I couldn't interpret his look of horror, which I found out when we were done was the fact that my phone, I hadn't turned them off. I guess I just turned them down, but not down enough. So the mic, this amazing high quality microphone that we have, was picking up on the vibrations and the chimes. So
Yes.
I apologize for that. We do try our best, aside from, I have a water jug in here with me. We do try to have a very high quality, well edited, well produced episode for you. So I didn't realize, and I know you tried to.
I edited
clean
a
them
couple
up.
of them out, but there was one where it wouldn't make sense because I think you or
were
I
talking
said
at the same
something that was very important to the sentence, and I couldn't edit it out without the sentence not making sense.
So I just wanted to say that, and while we're talking, this kind of ties into the potpourri aspect. I want to say a big thank you. We've had the podcast on Spotify,
Google Play,
Apple Podcasts,
and now YouTube.
And we have a Facebook page that is up for feedback. And we did YouTube. I guess we kind of crammed that all. We put them all up last week.
Yes. So we thought, you have to have accounts most of the time, or you do have to have accounts for Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify. So for maybe a audience that, younger people or older people to tap into, something like YouTube, which is if you have internet, which is like Spotify, Google, you need internet, but you don't need an account. You can just click the link and you're there.
And that's what a lot of people, like friends of ours, were not necessarily interested in having a streaming platform. Yeah. But everyone knew about YouTube, so we decided to go and create the YouTube channel. And
it's doing quite well for the first week. Got multiple views, so thank you very much, and go check it out.
Instant response, and that's what I wanted to say about Facebook. We've also had some lovely comments and some great feedback from our listeners, and we really appreciate that. And we want to say thank you so much for taking the time to give us feedback.
For sure.
And like I said, we prefer to be positive, but if there's something that you feel that we should know to help make this an even better episode and experience for you, we want to do it.
Yeah, and we also have the Gmail for people to maybe if they don't want to post something like a comment.
Yeah, if you don't want to do it publicly, you can email us.
For sure, email us. We check it all the time.
And that email is chatspodcast@gmail.com.
There you go. So. So all that out of the way, all the thank yous out of the way.
Appreciation and love.
Yes, time to take all the attention back to us for the podcast.
Okay.
So what I think the first thing to start off with, it's a little bit of a sad note, is just over a week ago, Kobe Bryant and his daughter and a couple other people, parents and children and people on I guess Kobe Bryant's female
helicopter pilot.
Well, yeah, but members of his basketball team or his daughter's basketball team that he helps coach, and it was a helicopter crash. I don't think they know what happened.
No, the investigation is still ongoing.
Yes, but there were no survivors, and it was just sad because it was just on the way to basketball practice, and Mom and I were talking. It seemed like they used when you're a certain type of celebrity, you can use things like helicopters as like kind of an Uber,
Yeah, he had his own helicopter.
Yeah, so it's sad, especially I think the part that hurts the most is the daughter and the other families, because his daughter was very talented, and the other families had talented young girls playing on this basketball team. It was a high level basketball team. It wasn't just your, average
local game of pickup.
Yeah. So, and just the other families as well. I feel like they were very overshadowed by the loss of Kobe Bryant and his daughter. So I just wanted to, bring up the fact that there were others on the helicopter as well, which is, I'd say, utterly devastating. Something that could have been avoided. And it didn't have to happen, right?
We don't know yet what the cause was, if it could have been avoided. But I was certainly surprised you told your dad and me that it had happened. So there was certainly shock. We initially, I think, came from different viewpoints on this matter. While, there's certainly a great talent in Kobe Bryant. And as you said, any loss of human life is tragic. But to especially have, young families devastated, we know one couple and their daughter, that's 3 people in a family of 5. So there's two
kids
teenagers that are left parentless and missing a sibling because of this. But I being a little older, a little more mature, I was also a little more aware of the allegations of impropriety. He was actually charged with rape years ago, and that for me came back really quickly when the accolades started pouring in. And that's not to say that he was not accomplished. And this was actually a really interesting conversation that you and I had, that he was certainly an accomplished individual. He did good things. That was all brought forward in the days following this tragedy. But I guess for me, what was outstanding was the fact that, about 2 years into his marriage, he was charged with raping a young woman. And the case, there was no
resolution.
There was no resolution in that he was not convicted. And, so there's a young woman out there who most definitely is being impacted right now, and I'm sure is going through a very difficult time with the glorifying of Kobe Bryant. And again, this is, I can just hear people saying, well, that was one thing he did. It's like, right, that one thing he did could have destroyed someone else's life.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't deny that he had sex with her. The issue was it rape or was it consensual? And that would never be agreed upon anyway. So without making that too much of our podcast, I just felt badly that I hope, and it sounds like he did turn himself around and became a better person after that incident. And certainly being the father of 4 daughters, I would hope that would give him a different perspective on the female reality, especially his eldest, I believe, was like 17 years old.
Yeah.
I
16,
hope,
something like that.
So I hope that it was something that would be give him a different perspective from his past and how he was moving forward. But yeah,
it's still devastating.
Absolutely.
Either way, it's still devastating that one of the all-time greats. So with that out of the way, the little bummer of a starter for us.
A little negative. A little down.
I guess it kind of fits in segues to the next kind of random topic we're going to talk about today, and that is the Grammys that happened the day of.
Yeah, he passed in the morning.
And they were at night.
And they had them at night at the Lakers Stadium at the Staples Center, which, yikes. Yeah,
so people were, flocked outside, and they had to do the Grammys. I caught the tail end of it and then rewatched the bit of it. Mm-hmm. You watched the first half live. Mm-hmm. What did you think of the Grammys? Because I think we have a general consensus of we don't really take it that highly. It's not. I feel like we don't take it as seriously.
I like the entertainment factor of it. I like being able to have the performances that you see. I've listened to a number of interviews about the Grammys and how they're put together, and it's very interesting to see how some of the criticisms about the Grammys are kind of come back to who the executive producer and the creative team are. They have a vision of what it's going to be. So the fact that it's as long as it is, well, it doesn't have to be that long. We could maybe not have quite as many live performances. Yeah. And I think Alicia Keys did an amazing job as an MC. She is very talented. She's a very comforting presence, and because of the emotion, and I've heard her interviewed since where she said like the energy in the room was very low. I'm sure there were a lot of people that were either huge fans or very good friends.
Yeah.
With the Laker family or the Bryants specifically. And, that made it much more challenging to come in and have a celebratory feel to the event. But she did a very good job. There was this bit where she kind of sits at the piano and introduces everyone. It was kind of ironic that she's sitting there saying, we want you to keep it tight and don't go too long with your speeches. But yet we had this tremendously long monologue, again, about what had happened and how everyone was feeling. And it's like, I think there's a balance there. You can't sit there and say, I'm going to go on for 15 minutes, but y'all take 30 seconds to do your speeches.
Well, and the thing about the Grammys is that there's a lot of, if there's a movie, there'd be a lot of plot holes. Things where it doesn't quite make sense or they contradict themselves. So I don't really take them too seriously, but I was happy to see some of the awards given out. I'm mostly into the hip hop, R&B, pop type stuff, not into country, rock, or anything like that. So I was happy to see people, some of the artists, like the new. That's what we said. There's a lot of new artists out this year.
Mm-hmm.
There we didn't see too many of the Beyonce's winning awards or people who've been in the music industry.
A lot of fresh faces,
and they won as well a lot of awards. You and I talked about the person who won the main 4 or main 3, but they won 4 awards back to back to back almost. Billie Eilish, who got Best New Artist, Best Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and Album of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's impressive, and she's only 18.
Yeah, it's remarkable.
And
well done.
And the other thing we were impressed with was how she it wasn't that she was ungrateful towards the wins, but she was very humble with it. She was very one of the quotes I took away from it was, we didn't make this album to win awards. Mm-hmm. We just made the album to, speak to people and just to be, just to be there. So I was happy that she won a lot of those awards because, she is a new artist. The Grammys, the thing that pet peeves me most about the Grammys is their new artist, Best New Artist.
I was just going to say, you're missing one here because she won Album of the Year, Song of the Year, New Artist, Record of the Year, and Pop Vocal Album. So just to clarify that. And
but going back to the Best New Artist, a lot of people who are nominated for Best New Artist have been out for a very long time. Yet the Grammys may have just heard of them. Yeah. They are not new artists. So I was hoping for either Billie Eilish because she is fairly new, or the Lil Nas X because a year ago he was a dropout from college,
struggling,
so hard, and he just put out this little song, Old Town Road, and then we all know how it blew up from there. So he won some awards as well. Lizzo won some awards. People were happy about that. So I think it was all around nothing too crazy, nothing.
Grammys usually play it safe.
Yeah.
For me, the biggest thing again about the Grammys, if you ask anybody about the Grammys, it's always the performances. Britney and Madonna kissing, Britney coming in with the snake. Amazing performances with amazing talents. Lizzo, I thought, did an amazing job kicking off the show. I was blown away in a bad way by Aerosmith. Aerosmith being of my generation.
Yeah.
Boys, if you're listening, I think it's time to wrap her up. That was a tough performance. It just was not good. Yeah. And Walk This Way is classic with Run DMC. If you said, what Aerosmith song would you want to see at the Grammys? Because, again, it's a collaborative kind of environment. Yeah. Well, a natural collaboration is Aerosmith and Run DMC. So bring them out. But holy God, it was rough. But an excellent performance. And I think I told you the next morning because I wasn't sure if you'd had a chance to see it, was to make a point of seeing Demi Lovato's comeback following the struggles that she had last year with her mental health and overdose. And this is
first live performance.
Outstanding, to the point that normally I'm multitasking when I watch TV. I'm on my laptop or I'm, going through other stuff and watching TV at the same time. I stopped what I was doing and I could not take my eyes off her. Like from the beginning when she paused because she was overwhelmed.
She took a moment. The crowd was there. They lifted her up.
And and you could just feel everything just buckle down and then launch again. It was just poetic. Well done.
She can sing.
That girl can sing.
And like that, she can sing, girl.
Yeah, she's not singing, she sang.
But and she doesn't really get a lot of her other songs. She sings, but she doesn't sing. It was just, as she said, just her and a piano.
Very, very clean, very pared down.
She was the star. It wasn't like Aerosmith where like the drummer was really on tonight.
Yeah.
She was the vocal point.
And I'm sure the emotion plays into the performance too, that everyone was anticipating, which made it that much more heightened. But kudos to her. It's been a rough go, and I think to her to have that kind of performance under her belt is wonderful. I'm very happy for her.
Another performance that I enjoyed was Tyler, the Creator, just because I like him as an artist, but that type of music, like it was a very out there kind of electro rap, very hybrid album, and the songs are very out there. And as we just said, the Grammys are very conservative in their performers most of the time.
Yeah.
It's mostly the big hits, and he didn't play the hits off the album. Those were two of the lesser known songs that maybe he as an artist
they're his favorites, maybe.
His favorites. Yeah. And I just liked the set and how he did it. And he did win Best Rap Album, so I was happy that he won that.
Can we talk? Did you see?
I told Corbin... If we ever win a podcast award, Mom, you will be by my side. Not just because you are the co-host.
The only person in the closet with you right now.
But also because you're my mom. So.
Okay, so to explain for people who didn't see the Grammys, Tyler, the Creator, very talented young man. Yeah. He wins the award. He drags his mother up, and his mother, I'm sorry, she's losing her shit.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's happening. She is hanging off her boy, and it's all she can do to walk. Like think of like Sunday church in a Southern Baptist area where just that falling down and she's barely walking. She is so beside herself. And at one point, he's actually trying to pull her off of him so that he can have a moment to say his speech. And she's not having it. She's she's octopussing. She's wrapped around him. And I turned to your dad and I said, that's going to be me and Corbin one day.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Oh, my baby. But it was good. And he gave a lovely speech and gave her lots of props and made a point of, setting her aside and saying, I wouldn't be where I am today without you. And it's like, oh, God, all the mothers just fell in love with Tyler, the Creator, even though we couldn't understand what he was singing 20 minutes earlier. And we couldn't understand the Sia. They all look like Sia wigs when he came out with all of his little people came out with the wigs on. But anyway, it was very, very sweet to see.
Yes, and I think to wrap it up, I have to say one negative. We both thought the Camila Cabello live performance was very weird. A little, and it was probably the low light of the night. That with AC/DC's live in terms of live performances.
Well, low light because they kept building it up like it was going to be something outstanding. And even stay tuned because Camila Cabello is going to sing about the most important man in her life, and you're like, she's been with Shawn Mendes forever, and we've seen all versions of that relationship.
But the other thing is that even after the performance, people are building it up like. Entertainment Tonight, we listened to the radio or something like that, and they keep on building it up like her fantastic, her pinnacle performance, and it was
not so much.
No, it was about her father, which is nice and sweet, but it was just very odd. Like he's just sitting in the chair and she's standing.
No, he's sitting in the chair bawling.
Yeah,
which everybody made sure they got in his face while he was bawling. I'm sure he's delighted with that.
But I think it wasn't a terrible performance. I agree with you. I think they built it up too high, and when you're at the top, there's only one way you can go down, right? Yeah. So that and AC/DC, you guys win the Chats podcast worst live performance of the Grammys this year.
The Chatter Award.
The Chatter Award.
The Chatter, not the bad chatter.
Yes,
bad chatter because we're talking about you in a negative way.
Well, that was Grammys 2020 were great, and now to go somewhere random. We were driving the other day, and Mom turns to me. She grabs my arm and she says, "I know what we're talking about on the podcast. It won't be a full podcast, but I need to talk about it." And you said public bathroom.
Yeah.
And I thought, what did they do to you? So what do you mean by public bathrooms?
This is actually why the podcast exists, because you and I have some very interesting conversations. Yes. So as we were driving around, we end up in the mall, and we come out of the mall, and I was just so ticked off because I had to use the ladies' washroom in this mall. And this has been an ongoing frustration for me, and it dates back to when you guys were little, and I'd have to take two of you into a bathroom, and of course you'd have to use the accessible stall because, you know, I got two kids, and I got a diaper bag and a purse, and I gotta go to the bathroom, and, you know, how do we manage all this? Let's do it this way. Explain to me, without being graphic or gross, what is your experience going into a men's washroom? When you walk into a men's washroom, what do you see?
Urinals, stalls.
Okay.
And,
fairly wide open.
Well, yes.
And some sinks.
Yeah, there's most of the time space. Most of the time, quite a bit of space to move around and such. And I know you're going to go with this, so...
So don't... Okay.
I won't say it.
So when you're done doing your business at the urinal, say, it's you just transition to the washing space.
Yes.
Okay. Let me explain to you in similar tone what the experience is in a ladies' washroom.
Okay.
Okay. So you've got probably 3 times as many cubicles, I'm going to assume. And the cubicles are tiny. So this time of year, when you have a coat, maybe a bag or two, and, you know, in my case, you have a purse, you have to find a spot in this tiny area to hang up all this stuff because I got to get to my pants.
Yeah.
So you're peeling off all the layers. You're hanging stuff over. You're draping stuff. You're looking for anything that will hook. And you know that there's nothing horizontal that you want to set anything on.
No.
In a
public bathroom.
In a public bathroom. Because you've seen the pictures and you know what people do and post them online.
Oh,
anyway, so you're doing your business. And now the idea is you have to take yourself from this teeny tiny space, collect your items, open a door, make your way across to wash your hands. By the time I've done all that, my hands are probably not needing washing because I've wiped anything that could be controversial all over my purse, my coat, the bag, perhaps the walls or the door, on myself. Like, who knows, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing that kills me is that you're standing there and they always have the doors that swing in.
Yeah, the swinging in doors is
now
brutal.
I'm back. I'm actually physically wiggling around. This is ridiculous. I'm actually backing up because I have to step back to allow the door to swing in now that I've half dressed myself. And I'm now, the backs of my legs are hitting the front of the toilet. And again, without getting too crude or graphic, ladies' washrooms are not only used by ladies. They are used by individuals who don't have good aim or want to get creative, or people that don't care about sitting down. So people will squat. Women will squat. They will drop things.
You're still talking about public bathrooms?
Yes.
Wait, so what? Hold on, go back.
I'm saying, when I say ladies, I mean proper, behaved, polite, know how to use public shared things. I'm talking about people that don't care that if they drop something or if they spray something. Or
I thought you were gonna go with going down the avenue of mothers bringing children in and stuff like that. But you're talking about just other women who don't respect the space.
A common space. That's what I mean.
Okay.
So that's frustrating to me because now, even though I'm trying to be really careful, and I don't use my foot to flush the toilet.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to be proper in using this public space. Yeah. Now, you know, I just feel like I just feel disgusting. And now I make my way to the washing area, which is hilarious because the counter is always wet. Yeah. I don't know what's happened here.
There's soap usually sitting on it.
Well, there's always one soap dispenser that's leaking.
Or is empty.
Empty or leaking.
Yeah. Empty because it was leaking.
Exactly. So there's that. And 9 times out of 10, I am personally not a fan of hand dryers.
No, I avoid it at all costs.
Yes. And it's one of those things where I think you could argue it a number of different ways. It's like, well, if you're hand drying, you're not wasting paper. And I would suggest the amount of paper that I use to dry my hands is actually less impactful than the amount of energy used to activate the dryer, plus the germs and grossness that comes flying out of there. So most of the time, I will not dry my hands. No. I will just walk out and I do the flingy fling with my hands.
I do that a lot.
Yeah. Or wipe it on my jeans or whatever.
There are some malls in some places where they have towels, which I think are brilliant.
I'm going to give a shout out.
Yes.
Conestoga Mall.
Yes. Good job. Good job. You won the Good Chatter Award.
Good Chatter Award.
We're giving out awards to everyone.
I'm serious. Props to the Conestoga Mall because
it's always full of towels. They're never empty.
Usually very clean.
Of course.
And I love stuff over. I love the idea of having hand towels. And when I say hand towels, they're literally face cloths.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You just do a quick, dry.
But it absorbs so much. Like, they're very good quality.
Yes.
You would think that, a lot of these places have really, bathrooms with really crappy toilet paper that is, you couldn't draw on it. You couldn't do anything with it.
Yes.
But this is quality towels, and they're small, so they're compact, and they're always full. I have nothing bad to say about the towel system, and everyone follows because there's a spot where there's a hole where you throw the towels in.
Yeah, there's a little bin underneath.
And then there's a garbage separately, and no one throws the towels in the garbage. No one throws garbage in the towels usually. Yeah. It's a great. I think a lot of other places should
and it
adopt
seems
that.
So upscale because when you go in there, they have the little shelves and
beautiful.
They have them all folded and rolled up and easy to grab them. Yeah, so there you go. If you are in southwestern Ontario and you are able to go to Conestoga Mall,
admire the bathrooms.
It's worth the trip just to use the bathroom.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe the toilets and stuff aren't any different, I'd assume.
Yeah, I can't critique
the towels,
that. I can't remember.
The towels are nice. The one thing I immediately thought of, because I always kind of chuckle at this, is whenever you go into a fast food place or you go into a public bathroom, there's those little sheets that have 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock check-ins.
Yes.
And some
on the back of the door,
yeah,
in the little slip plastic or glass slip folder in the back.
Some part-time persons check their initials off. They are never... No one who works at a place like the mall or at McDonald's, they don't check it because they are disgusting. I saw this one time. I'm not joking. It was 1:01 p.m. I go into the bathroom. It's disgusting. The floor is sticky, and there was soap everywhere, and it was a mess. And I look, and the sheet is signed for 1 p.m. How could you do? They must have been very quick about that cleanup.
Maybe it's like our house where at 1 o'clock the bathroom mommy showed up to clean it, and 1 minute later all hell broke loose and made it dirty again.
I don't believe those signatures.
You have no faith in the system?
They've abused my trust, and I can't take it anymore. But I can't really. I can somewhat relate to what you're saying about the bags, just not all the time. It's only when, say, I'm most of the time at the mall when I have multiple bags. It's such a pain in the butt, and pardon my French, pain in the ass. I'm going to say it because it's so annoying trying to find it. And
find what?
Somewhere to put the bags.
Oh, okay. You were being spinded. Because you don't want, especially in a men's bathroom, you don't want to put it on the floor.
There was one time I was debating holding the bag up above my head and sitting on the toilet or something like that. I don't know, because what are you gonna do? Or put the hand handles around your neck so it's hanging down like a backpack type thing. And when you sit on the toilet, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So I could not imagine or fathom that constantly, because you have purses, you have, as you said, the coats and all that.
Well, and for women, because of how we use the facilities, we have to drop trousers.
Yes.
Guys have options depending on what their urge is, right? With us, doesn't matter what we're doing. Pants are coming down, so we have to get down to that layer, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's that just wound me up a little bit yesterday because once again, and the other thing was the temperature. We weren't cooking. It was
not just in the bathroom, but it was
everywhere.
The mall.
The mall in general. And I know it's hard. It's been kind of a weird winter with the temperature, fluctuating a lot. It was about 2 degrees outside, but I honestly, I was soaked. I came home last night and it was nope. Everything's got to go in the wash. I just feel gross. I feel like I've been doing a marathon because I just literally sweat through everything because of the heat.
And you're when you're in a mall. Obviously, you're going in and out of shops, but you're keeping up a pace walking through the mall.
Yeah.
It gets hot. And I found that day, I felt very dehydrated afterwards. Not that I was sweating it all out and I was like...
No, but it was dry.
It was very dry. And to go from cold outside into that hot that quick, I just felt in my head, it felt a little like I need to drink something. I need to get water in me.
Hydrated. So there you go. That's why you tune into Chats, for the high quality content.
The potty talk.
The potty talk. The potty talk.
Yeah, the potty talk and the singing.
Oh, I remember. Remember how before we started, you said I can't remember the one thing that we want to talk about? This is the thing we want to talk about. And then I think we're on the home stretch, right?
I think so.
So
it's
this will be the last.
Not too long an episode because next week, we've had a couple long episodes in a row. Next week is going to be a huge episode.
Huge.
It's the post-Oscars show where we break everything down. We go through it all. So it may be a little longer because I have a feeling I'm going to have a lot of ranting to do next week. But
also make sure you're checking out our Facebook page,
of course,
because Corbin's going to be on the Facebook page making his
all
comments
night.
and observations, and he has vowed to take one for the team
and watch
and
the entire thing.
Stay up right till the end and give all of his thoughts and opinions. Thank you,
for
Corbin.
People, for you guys,
He's
you're
actually
welcome.
Pointing at the microphone.
If you guys don't listen to all of our podcasts, or like or share or do something to promote the podcast for my sacrifice to watch the Oscars, I'll be very upset. But you know what? I won't get mad.
Won't get mad.
I'm just disappointed.
In all of you.
No.
Okay, so
that's the last thing. Yeah.
The last thing is, again, have to be careful what I'm saying here. One of these days, we're going to deep dive on the male-female dynamic.
Yes.
Right? But not today. What I want to talk about is just the fact that I was going through something about a week ago, and it was an interesting conversation when I came home because, as we've said before, in our household, there really is not any... Like we're very egalitarian. Like we don't look at males or females being better than, and
it's never been like that. It's not just recently. It's always been like that.
Right, and which in a perfect world, that's how it would be everywhere. But this is definitely how we're trying to live our lives and raise our children and hopefully your children after you. So anyway, there was an experience that I was going through which was pretty frustrating, pretty upsetting. Involved other people and required me to react to a situation. Again, people are going, I don't understand what she's talking about. The actual what it is isn't important. The important part here is how people responded to how I was responding to the situation.
Yes.
So, in a nutshell, I was trying to make myself understood. I was trying to communicate with people and say, hey, this is how something needs to be dealt with. This is what's happening to me.
And it was something of urgence.
Yes, there was a time factor.
Yes.
There was an urgency to it. So in trying to explain to people and say, this is what I feel should happen. Of course, I'm speaking with urgency. I'm being very succinct in what I'm saying. I had two people in particular treat me one way, and both happened to be male. And it was funny when I came home and I shared that story with you and your dad, the two of you were just blown away because in your minds, you could not understand why someone would react that way. The reaction was, Sarah, you need to calm down. Which was hilarious because I don't think I'm an overreactor.
No, and my first thing when I first heard that, because I've heard the story obviously, and that is that Mom is the last person I think would need to be told to calm down in any situation, not just this specific situation, but it seemed very disrespectful and a little the word is like condescending. That's the word. I forgot it when we talked about it before. It's very condescending. It's disrespectful, condescending, and it's kind of crazy how kind of maybe oblivious these men were to the situation. Not to you, looking at it from a broader perspective of the entire situation. They're kind of oblivious about the situation.
Well, for me, the frustration was the fact that it was coming across like it was personal. Yeah. Like they felt that they were looking at the whole situation and that it wasn't a big deal, that it was me trying to make it a big deal or being overwhelmed with something and it was just too much for me.
Yeah.
The irony is that in both cases, the individuals weren't really listening to what I was saying in the first place. And the people who were actually more helpful and productive and helped resolve the, not just the issue, but helped me by just validating the fact that, yeah, you're right. This is domestic, you know?
Yeah.
These people were like, there was a number of people that felt that way. It was just these two individuals that kind of went over here and were trying to be patronizing. The problem is they were kind of key players.
Yeah.
So the long and the short of why we're sharing this is that I try to say to Corbin in a regular, meaningful way whenever we have these conversations, because he's not been raised in what is the real world for a lot of people. You don't understand how it is for a lot of women who are out in the workforce or in the world right now, trying to deal with men who aren't like you.
Yeah.
Right? You treat your girlfriend a certain way, you treat your female cousins and your friends and things like that. You treat them in a very equal way. There are still a lot of men out there that are not capable of it or not demonstrating it. So that's where I try to bring that back to you, because I remember when Corbin was very young, you know, being frustrated because there was a lot of pro-female messaging. And it was like, but you don't know this, but this is a problem for women. There are women out there that are struggling with being able to feel supported. You support very well. Your dad supports very well, and your brother supports very well, and I'm very grateful for that. My dad was a great supporter of women. The problem is we're in a bubble here.
Yeah.
So every now and then when this happens, I bring it back to you to share it with you to say, hey, so the next time you see a women's march, which just happened in January, you know, some cause that comes up on TV or a statement that's being made or an issue that comes up in the news, because it's still happening, right?
Well, and I'd like to point out that what Mom was referencing about me being upset about pro-female messaging, that was way back.
You were just a little guy, and you didn't understand.
It sounded like it was the other day.
No, I don't mean. Sorry, and I didn't mean for that to sound like that. No, and when we explained it to you at the time, you got it. But I think, and that's another whole conversation too, as far as masculinity is, how we're teaching young men to understand what equality means or what feminism means, because feminism is not overpowering male rights.
No, it's just
it's bringing it up, and that females should support males as much as men support, or males support females. So that's the conversation, is equality, not better than or less than.
And I feel in the situation is it's a lot of toxic masculinity that's aiding with this pro male kind of not agenda but scenario, because a lot of men feel threatened by it. You know?
Well, there's change happening now.
And that's what I mean. And it's the toxic masculinity where men are the macho men, they are the providers, they are all the blah, blah, blah. It's all hogwash because people for a long time now, males, have been told, like generation from generation, how to be a quote-unquote man.
He's using finger quotes right now.
Yes, how to be a quote-unquote man with finger quotes. And it's sad to see that to become a man with finger quotes in their eyes and toxic masculinity is to put yourself above women a lot of the time and to be the number one, the alpha in all this. And to see that sort of stuff, it's brutal. And I think not only should we keep going with the equality of men and women, but we should also take a step back, like the men should take a step back and say, you know, what is toxic masculinity, and do I have any of it? Because, you know, before I learned about it, I had a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. Like, there are friends of mine, you know, family that we know of, that have quite a bit of toxic masculinity, and sadly, it is a problem, and I think it's not helping the equality situation. So, this whole scenario that you brought up that happened to you the other day, I wouldn't say it was a case of what I'm talking about, toxic masculinity, but either way, it's wrong.
I think it was more of a case of just, again, stereotyping, right? And that's where I said to the one individual, I said, you don't know me very well if you think that I am overwhelmed by this and I can't handle it. Yeah. The problem was I couldn't act unilaterally. I couldn't just do what I wanted to do because it wasn't just about me, and it wasn't within my role to handle that particular situation. Because I prefer, it's so much easier to be able to jump into a problem and say, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and I'm going to handle it, and it's going to be done. Because then you've already got the plan and you're moving forward. For me, it was the fact that I had to engage others. It wasn't all my say what was going to happen or how we were going to handle the situation. So anyway, I just thought that was an interesting observation because, again, it was something that was pretty impactful for me last week. And when I brought it home, it came up as an interesting conversation here at home. Again, in generalities, not talking specifics of what goes on at work, but very interesting to talk about, hey, you should, this is what's happening to me. And it's a problem. And I'm a fairly strong personality that I can handle, people that are giving me some pushback. But there's a difference between being respectful and professional and someone feeling that they can just dismiss you. And that's was the problem, was being dismissed. Yeah. So. And
the silver lining of the situation was that you were able to take it and bring it back home and educate myself, Dad, my brother. Yeah. We've already been educated about it and we know about it. But
just that it's an ongoing
thing, and how, just constantly educating us and keeping us up to date with stuff that we don't, because you said it's a bubble, right? We don't, we see the world in
from your male perspective
in rose tinted glasses, kind of, So, so it was a shame that it happened, but you're a tough cracker, and you're gonna keep pushing.
Tough cookie. Well, yeah. So anyway, and I just wanted to share that, like I say, from the, what's going on in the world type perspective. But anyway, we don't want to end it on a sad note.
No, this is the second installment of The High Note. Very nice. So, I had something lined up for this, and I brought it to Mom's attention yesterday, and that is I always like to, just like the podcast, I like to end my day on a high note as well.
Something
positive. And we've watched shows like Queer Eye on Netflix, a show that we might bring up on the high note one day. Just shows like that I bring up just to because it's more known through the mainstream as a positive show, a feel-good show, and a self-improvement show. And the thing about that I like is just it ends your day on a good note.
Yeah.
So I found one night this week a show from Australia called Bringing Sexy Back. And on Netflix.
Right.
And it is from 2014, so it's been a while. There's only one season.
Which I cannot believe.
It makes me so sad.
One season. But anyway, go ahead.
And it's a weight loss show. And
let's not lose you right there. We don't want to lose people right there. Just give them a chance. It gets better. Because when he told me, I thought the last thing I want to watch is The Biggest Loser. I'm not into those shows.
So this show, if it was American, I could see it easily turning into The Biggest Loser, because that's what that media likes to do.
Yeah.
So this show is still about weight loss, and I was skeptical at first because I hate it when people are like, 30 days, I transformed, because I know from working out, Mom knows from living a healthy lifestyle, it takes years. It takes patience, not a 30-day challenge. So I watched it. I watched this show, and it is amazing. So what they pick people who used to be fit or feel like their best days are behind them. They're then selected to run some tests, find out where their biochemistry is at and where their body
full
is
evaluation.
Of course. And then they give a trainer, a personal trainer to them for a week, gives them a plan, gives them the tools they need, and sends them on their way for 2 to 3 months, I believe.
Yeah, but they've also gone through the house and looked at the unhealthy choices and the lifestyle issues and what could be contributing to their unhealthy physical lifestyle.
Yes. And So then they meet up after a couple months with the personal trainer. They check in again, and then 1 month later, they have usually so far in the show they tie it in with something going on in their lives.
A milestone,
a wedding anniversary, a wedding proposal.
And that's the big reveal.
Yeah. And they, like, no joke, change so much.
Yeah.
The first episode was with a trucker who...
Well, don't tell him.
Well, I know, but
don't talk too much.
It's crazy how it's such a feel-good show. These people, you feel they deserve it. They're dedicated.
The people, that was the big thing for me, was the positivity of the people who are the hosts and like the trainer. Is beautifully motivational. The people who are participating are coming in with such a great intent.
Yes.
So I don't want to give away too much.
No, I don't want to give away it either. But I believe it's around 10 episodes. Maybe it's not that long, sadly.
45 minutes in length, you said. 45 minutes.
Yeah.
On Netflix.
On Netflix, only one season. It's Bringing Sexy Back. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Fantastic show. Plus, it's fun listening to Australian accents for around 40 minutes. We
could listen to Australians read the phone book and be happy.
Oi, mate. Two shrimps on the barbie.
Oh, don't do that.
I'm
Australians
sorry.
hate that. No, but
it's a fantastic show, and if you guys want to maybe you want to feel motivated, or just feel a little better and have a smile on your face before you hit the hay for another day, check out Bringing Sexy Back. That's my high note, and I think it's co-signed and co-approved by Mom.
Yes.
I showed her. We watched the first 2 episodes after I watched the first episode.
Right.
And we loved it. Like, we thought maybe it was just the first episode that was good. No, the second episode was good and great.
Yeah, and we can keep watching as far as I'm concerned.
We'll keep watching it. So
no, we recommend it. It's got the Chat's seal of approval. Look at us just like branding stuff.
We're just throwing stuff. We're making it rain with awards, approvals, signs, seals.
That and $1.75 will get you a medium at Tim's.
Yes.
So anyway, thank you so much for listening, everyone. We really appreciate it.
We ran
a little longer. Than we thought.
Jeez, we were like, oh, this is gonna be like 20 minutes. We'll make it work.
We'll stretch it out.
46 minutes.
But I like there's things that we want to talk about that don't take up like a full episode. So it's nice to kind of like throw it in there as a potpourri.
It's a Chatty Cathy episode kind of thing.
It's a dump dinner of information. So once again, our email is chatspodcast@gmail.com. Check us out on Facebook and make sure that you are telling people about our availability on Apple iTunes, on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and YouTube.
And with YouTube, one thing I will ask our listeners, if you are listening and you do enjoy the content, to subscribe and or like, because those things not only send us the message that you guys are enjoying it, but also it helps push it through to other people. Yeah. And so we greatly appreciate it on YouTube.
All those platforms.
On all the platforms. But especially YouTube with the certain algorithm it goes with. So thank you guys for listening so much. It's been a great 13th episode.
Lucky 13.
13 more. Here we go. This has been me, Corbin.
And Sarah.
And stay tuned for our latest chats.